I think the summarization aspect of Gen AI is super helpful. Like you mentioned, sort of summarizing meeting takeaways and notes, but also a problem we run into a lot at Clearbit is just internal documentation. So an example from recently, we had a product we wanted to launch. We had built it out fairly quickly. And we don't have a technical writer on staff right now. And so the product management team or the marketing team or the support team, they have to share the load of writing documentation, help center documentation. And I saw a product manager and a support engineer chatting through how to get help center documentation for an upcoming launch done quickly. And they actually just took the product spec, the original one, threw it into ChatGPT and asked for help center documentation. And what came out was pretty solid. So at Clearbit, data is the name of the game. And large language models have unlocked so much possibility in the world of data extraction, which is a big problem at Clearbit. Overnight, it felt like problems we've been struggling with for 7+ years of Clearbit's existence, they felt suddenly solvable. In some cases, they felt completely solved, which was incredible and exciting because now that those problems are getting solved, we can move on to bigger and better things. So we decided to rebuild our data quality pipelines from the ground up using large language models. We've reimagined and improved every attribute from industry to employee count. Our engineering team has been discovering new ways to harness this technology on an almost weekly basis. Like, I can't tell you how many aha moments I've seen over the past several months where we realized something that we didn't know before. And it's been really, really fun to be at the frontier of innovation. I'll be honest, we are shipping and shipping new functionality and improvements to data quality at a pace that we have never seen before in Clearbit's history. And this is all because this technology that was previously kind of felt hidden or only the big companies had access to it, now all of us have access to it. And there's just so much opportunity right now. So it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what else comes. Like, there's more coming. There are some ways to fine tune the outputs that you get from generative AI without even having to do additional training. So an example, our entire company did an offsite, and we did a training on good prompt generation for ChatGPT. And something you can do to actually make the output more aligned with your brand tone is in the prompt, when you ask it to summarize something or write a blog post, you can actually share an example of a different blog post and say, I would like your output to match the tone of this piece of content. And you can get a lot better results. Because what I have found is when you just ask for something generically, it's like overly embellished, like, it feels like, a thesaurus kind of like job where they just like added a bunch of complicated words that don't quite make sense to make it sound smart. And it's just it's not the brand tone that you want.
I love that so much. And I think I read somewhere that in the very near future, and I believe it to your point, Rebecca, that it will be a job at organizations to just be a generative AI prompt writer, that it is like such a hard and specific, I'm not good at it. Like, that's probably why I get not great outputs coming out of generative AI, because there's so much nuance to what you have to put into it to get out. That, yeah, I love that you said that, Rebecca, and that you trained your team on it, because again, when we like don't have the council in place, or like people are still just learning and testing and playing in the product, everyone's going to input different prompts. Like, people are going to have different varying levels of what they can put in and how they prompt it. So it's so cool that your team did a like training on it. And now I might have to steal that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like the few things that everyone should keep in mind when writing a good prompt. First, sort of giving the assistant ChatGPT or Bard or whoever context as to sort of the broader problem, saying who is asking. So you would say, you know, as the VP of demand generation at Qualified, and then saying who is the intended audience and what are your objectives. And that can dramatically improve the quality of what you get, just sort of giving all that extra context that you might give to like an intern on your team who's helping to write something. We've run into hallucination problems, and it's funny how confidently it'll spit out a completely false answer. We have a policy internally: do not ever commit code that you do not understand. Yeah. So Sarah, very glad that you're checking with the Eng team before running any scripts.
I'm smarter than that. I know better. I'm doing that.
I've also heard some engineering leaders who only allow their teams to use like generative code tools like Copilot for writing tests, but they can't actually use it for generating code. Some other challenges we've run into, in addition to some of the compliance, privacy, security concerns, there's concern around copyright and legal exposure if the content that's being generated inadvertently or accidentally is actually duplicative with something that's out on the internet. And so a lot of tools, like I think GitHub Copilot, if you pay for the business version, you can actually have it double check to make sure the code it's spitting out does not match any publicly available code. And that, you know, that's a concern for sort of copyright and legal exposure.